Cuyahoga County Board of Control. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Good morning, everyone. It is now 11 a.m. Calling the roll for the Monday, August 19th Board of Control meeting. We have Joe Nani. He's serving as an alternate for Nan Baker. Here. Jim Boyle serving as an alternate for Dale Miller.
Here.
Trevor McAleer serving as an alternate for Dan Brady. Here. Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Mike Dever. Here. Dennis Kennedy serving as an alternate for Armin Budish.
Here.
Lenora Lockett. Here. We have a quorum.
Okay, so I would ask everybody to review the minutes that were provided to you last week for the meeting on August the 12th. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The Board of Control minutes are approved. Any public comment today?
No public comment at this time.
And are there any tabled items?
And no tabled items.
So we will move on to the first scheduled item.
Yes, item number BC 2019-603, Department of Public Works, submitting an agreement with the Board of Park Commissioners of the Cleveland Metropolitan Park District in the amount not to exceed $494,795.09 for construction management services for the Red Line Greenway Whiskey Island Connector Trail and Windy Park Bridge projects in connection with the Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery Project, and it's for the period August 19th, 2019 through December 31st, 2020.
Nicole English with Public Works. This is an exciting partnership that we're going to make with the Metro Parks. They are the recipients of several Tiger Grant funds to do projects, and they aren't necessarily the experts at running federal aid jobs, and so they had looked at their options, and they were told by ODOT that the county does a pretty good job and maybe they should talk to us about it. So we've been meeting with them for several months and have come up with a scope of work where we will provide an inspector and project manager for their Tiger projects in order to meet their federal reporting requirements, and they will pay us their wages plus our overhead rate. So essentially to reimbursing us in full for our staff that we use on these projects. So we're looking forward to working with them and helping them out.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Mr. McAleer.
Nicole, do we have to hire an additional inspector, or will we be able to do it with the current staffing?
So we did hire an inspector with the thought that this was coming, but knowing how long this project is going to go on and the amount of retirements that are coming in our construction department. So the idea is hiring him on now will just make us not fill a position later on once this is over.
Any other questions from anybody? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-604, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment to a contract with the safety company doing business as MTech Company for equipment, parts, and labor for Q's Inc. sewer inspection camera trucks for the period September 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2019 for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $200,000.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Department of Public Works. This item, we're just looking, it's a contract amendment, just looking to add additional funds to the current MTech contract. The current contract goes until the end of this year, and we have a business need for the additional funds.
Okay, are there any questions on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
BC 2019-605, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment, subsidiary number 1, to a contract with CA Agresta Construction Co. for highway construction services, and it's for the Olmsted Township Transportation for Livable Communities Initiative. Fitch Road and Cook Road Sidewalk Project for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $44,724.20, recommending to accept construction as complete and in accordance with plans and specifications, and requesting authority for the county treasurer to release the escrow account in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 153.63.
Nicole English with Public Works. We're asking for an amendment and final closeout of this construction project. This is a project that Olmsted Township had gotten money from NOACA on, and then we in turn had to run it because they cannot run federal aid jobs. So they are paying in full for this amendment, and mainly it was for some additional sidewalk they wanted put in once we were out there. So it was somewhat work directed by the township trustees.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-606, Department of Public Works, recommending an award on requisition 45863 and enter into a contract with Precision Compaction Services, LLC. And it's in the amount not to exceed $24,500 for preventative maintenance, oil changes, and repairs for various county buildings for the period August 19th, 2019 through December 31st, 2020.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Public Works again. This item, we're requesting a new contract, approval of the new contract with Precision Compaction. They do the preventive maintenance and repairs for the various locations for the compactors and balers at some of our buildings. This was an informal bid. We bid it out, informal bid for contract. It went to multiple vendors, and we only had one response. We're going to let that bid. And the contract runs until the end of next year.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2019-607, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to an agreement with State of Ohio Department of Administrative Services, Office of Information Technology for software licenses and maintenance on the IBM LPAR mainframe. And it's for the period March 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2019, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $420,000.
Good morning, Dennis Sullivan, Department of IT. You've seen this before. This is another year at the same cost. It's $35,000 a month to run the operations center down in Columbus. That decision made a handful of years ago to decommission the mainframe locally here. And this is as need. We have termination language. If the ERP is up and running and legacy doesn't need to be run anymore, then everybody's happy. We can terminate upon notice.
So this, Dennis, only goes till June of next year? It's a half a year extension, not a whole year, right?
Well, it was initially going to be a half a year, but Maggie made the recommendation on Wednesday. She wanted it to go for 420 and for a full year because I believe one of the financial aspects is not being implemented until sometime in April, according to her. So instead of having to come back quite possibly in June, we'll go this way.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Mr. McAleer.
Judge, do you know, will we need the servers in Columbus at all after the ERP project, or is that those contracts completely go away?
My answer is I believe they completely go away and that their hardware is not physically ours. It's a hosting service.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. So we have two separate. We have the SOC that's out in Columbus. So that's our backup for redundancy purposes. We still have that aspect. Once our ERP goes up, we shouldn't need the mainframe portion of that anymore.
But we'll keep the one.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
One more.
Mr. McAleer.
Dennis, not necessarily related to this contract, but do we have a summary of all the license, IT license and agreements that we have, like for the county, in one spreadsheet or a summary of all of them?
Countywide, all licenses? Yeah. No, okay. I would say we don't, because we don't do every request.
What about the ones that IT handles? Is there a summary of that?
I believe we could probably put something together, yeah, for the ones that we've requested.
Can I get that, please?
Sure.
Any other questions from anybody? Lenore?
Lenora Lockett, Office of Procurement and Diversity. Can you add Lenora Lockett on that email when you present the information to Trevor?
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Dennis, can I ask one more question about that? Does it have the standard termination, so if we don't need it come June, is it at the standard 30-day out?
That's been in the contract since the original, yeah.
Next item, BC 2019-608, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, recommending an award on requisition 46215 and to enter into a contract with Incident Management Training and Consulting LLC in the amount not to exceed $22,699 for United States Fire Administration All Hazards Incident Management Team Course Training for 25 to 30 first responders, and it's for the period January 27, 2020 through February 29, 2020.
Beth Vaughn from Public Safety. We did solicit quotes and we're making a recommendation to go with the lowest price vendor. This will provide 40 hours of Type 3 all hazards incident training, and it's being paid for with the fiscal year 17 State Homeland Grant.
Any questions? I just had one question. On the backup, it's lists the vendor with a post office box. Do we have an actual address for that company?
I can find out.
Could you let me know that?
Yes.
When you get a chance, thanks. Any questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Nani. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved. Thank you.
The next item is a two-part item, item BC 2019-609, Department of Health and Human Services. A, submitting an RP exemption on requisition 46372, which will result in an award recommendation to M&J Technologies Direct, Inc. in the amount of $53,990 for a state contract purchase of Smart Sheet project management software. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RP exemption.
Dan Basta, Department of Health and Human Services. We are doing a state contract purchase for Smart Sheet project management software. I brought the applications administrator for Health and Human Services IT, Matthew Bender, so he can field any questions that you might have about the software.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Mr. McAleer.
Is this a new software that is going to be implemented?
Yes, this is a new software package. We currently don't own any project management software, so this is going to help us out in several different ways with our project governance process, our demand management in terms of getting those requests in, getting them approved, prioritized, provisioning projects, developing standard project artifacts like project plans, project charters, things of that nature. And, as the county kind of takes a more project-oriented approach to projects, not only in IT, but on the program side, we feel like the demand for this kind of software is just increasing. We've had a number of requests from program staff for access to this kind of tool as well.
And that will all of HHS be able to use this, or is it just for a particular department?
We have 25 licenses that we're buying. About half of those will be used by my staff and Jason Snowbrick's staff, basically the IT staff for HHS. The rest will be divided up amongst the 8 divisions in Health and Human Services, for their own use. And as we see demand continuing to grow, this might be something that flourishes in the future. And we're also looking at partnering with the Office of Innovation, and there is one person from Department of IT in the admin building that is, we're looking at providing them capability to use the software, and we'll work with them on doing like a chargeback or something for that.
Any other questions? Do we use any project management software currently for
There-
ERP?
For ERP, they're using Microsoft Project. The nice thing about Project is that it does do the project plan. It's really a project plan specific software, and it resides on the desktop level, so it's not a server-based product where you have all of them together. So they're running things, with software that is, probably managed by each of the separate project managers having their own desktop product. So the nice thing about Smartsheet going forward is that we'll be able to have all of our projects in Smartsheet. They'll roll up into like a dashboard, and you'll be able to see your whole portfolio and see how resources are allocated across the organization.
But that won't include the ERP?
No, right now our scope is just for Health and Human Services. And like I said, we are trying to partner with other areas in the county to see if this is a product that can continue to grow and possibly serve the needs of the entire county if we decide to fund it.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Boyle, all those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2019-610, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, recommending an award on requisition 43799 and enter into a master contract with various providers in the total amount not to exceed $175,000 for substance abuse services for youth, and is for the period July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2021 for the following providers: Catholic Charities Corporation and Ohio Guidestone.
Good morning, Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is our new master contract for substance abuse services, and it covers assessment, treatment, as well as group treatment. So the other component of treatment, it would be community-based. We did issue an RFP for this, and the two vendors that we are choosing to contract with, we've utilized in the past, and they've done good work with the youth and families that we've referred.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-611, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Ohio Guidestone for provision of a mental health clinician to provide services for the Community-Based Intervention Center for the period January 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $79,007.64.
Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This project is actually part of the court's competitive reclaim grant, and it provides for a mental health staff to be in the Community-Based Intervention Center. That staff is helping court staff run various groups, meeting with the kids if there's any sort of behavioral or mental health issues. So this will be actually the last year of this grant term.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-612, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, recommending an award on requisition 43805 and enter into a master contract with various providers in the total amount not to exceed $50,000 for sex offender assessment and treatment services, and is for the period July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2021.
Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is for our new sex offender assessment and treatment contract. It covers any sort of assessments that the kids need, whether it's a reassessment or an initial assessment, and it's all community-based sex offender treatment.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-613, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a master contract with various providers for safe space housing services for court-referred youth for the period October 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2019, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $40,000 for the following vendors: Lutheran Metropolitan Ministry and with the Village Network.
Sarah Baker, Juvenile Court. The Safe Space Housing Contract is actually part of the court's VOCA grant, and it provides for a 21-day or less stay for those youth involved with our Safe Harbor docket. So the kids can get an assessment, and if we need to get referrals started for any programs that they may need, this helps keep the kids out of the detention center and get services started immediately.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item is a two-part item. Item BC 2019-614, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 46342, which will result in an award recommendation to Strategies for Youth, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $37,500 for working effectively with the Teen Brain Training Services for 25 probation and detention court staff for the period July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is a new training opportunity that the court has written into our latest reclaim plan. They will train both of our probation and detention staff. They'll get an initial 4-day training, and then they will be trained as kind of a train the trainer type of model, and then they will be able to train the rest of our court staff.
Any questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Nani. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item is a two-part item. Item BC 2019-615, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 46430, which will result in an award recommendation to JKM Training, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $16,210.80 for Safe Crisis Management Training Services for 18 court staff for the period July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RP exemption.
Sarah Baker, Juvenile Court. This is also a new training opportunity that was written into the reclaim grant, and it's going to provide training for 18 of our detention staff. They'll be training in different topics, a number of them being prevention support, de-escalation support. They'll be looking at emergency safety and then kind of after action resolution items. So this hopefully will help with training the staff in our detention center.
Okay, any questions on this item? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2019-616, Sheriff's Department, recommending an award on requisition 45444 to Cleveland Communications in the amount not to exceed $121,017.96 for the purchase of 36 Harris XL 185 handheld portable radios for sheriff deputies and protective service officers.
Good morning, Stephen Witt with the Sheriff's Department. This award recommendation is part of an effort to replace outdated and broken radios for both our law enforcement and protective services. This is the result of a formal RFP which closed June 6, 2019. 2 bids were received. This is the lowest compliant bid, which meets our specifications given to us by our sheriff deputies. It's primarily funded with a Justice Assistance Grant.
Questions, Mr. Nani?
So where does this put us relative to the changing out of the radios? Is this what you guys need now, or do you need more in the future?
It's a revolving thing. I believe primarily they're replacing some outdated and haven't been used in a long time because we had the grant funds available to do so. For protective services, they usually don't receive as many updates, so this is great for them, so they get some new equipment.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Nani. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-617, Office of the Medical Examiner, on behalf of the Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with APHIS and Biometrics Consulting, Inc. for Cleveland Cuyahoga Regional Automated Fingerprint Identification System Assessment Services for the period November 26, 2018 through March 1st, 2019, to extend the time period to August 1st, 2020, to expand the scope of services to add consulting services for the implementation of a bridge upgrade to the current automated fingerprint identification system, effective March 2nd, 2019, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $54,492.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. So last year, we had a grant that Public Safety had procured for us and had gotten an RFP to get ABC in to do an assessment of the automated fingerprint identification system that is shared between Cleveland and Cuyahoga County. That particular system is at end of life, and we are proceeding now with the plan that came as a result of that assessment that ABC did for us. So the Medical Examiner's Office wants to extend that contract with ABC since they produced that assessment and plan to help us implement it with the vendors. So we have an obvious delay here in getting this contract up and running. Majority of the delay was due to an internal investigation that took place with the Inspector General's office to get a grant returned to the state of Ohio, which I believe everybody's aware of. That chewed up a considerable amount of time in moving the project forward. ABC was gracious and continued to assist us with discussions with the vendor as we move forward now and get ready to do their contract as well.
Okay, any questions for Hugh? Mr. McAleer.
Was the issues with the Homeland Security grant, did it cost this contract to be more because of the issues we had with the grant, or it only caused the delay of getting this contract forward?
Yeah, no, the expense of it was not at issue with this particular contract. It delayed things significantly, several months. Could you maybe give me a little bit more detail of why, like, the IG's investigation and internal audit's investigation into one grant caused the delay for this contract? I'm just not seeing how the two are tied then. Well, until we knew the status of APHIS going forward, it didn't seem prudent to start spending money on consultants when we didn't know what the outcome was actually going to be. I mean, we had a strong feeling that we needed to continue to move forward because the system is aging. We had a significant breakdown over the summer that caused the system to go down for 2 weeks. But with all the questions surrounding APHIS, we felt it prudent not to proceed without the Inspector General's report being completed and provided to council and to all of the players in the APHIS system.
So how much do we owe ABC now for work that they provided since March 1?
Nothing.
No, okay, so they weren't doing work. They were
like, as I said, they were gracious. They understood the situation that we were working under, so moving forward, they will bill us for time going forward.
But not for any work prior to today? Thanks.
Mr. Nani.
question regarding the agenda. On the short version, it says APHIS and Biometrics Consulting, but then in the backup, it says with ABC Consulting. Is that the same company?
Yeah.
Okay.
ABC, APHIS.
Are the same?
Same, yeah.
Okay.
APHIS Biometric Consulting, ABC, yes.
Is the official name?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-618, Office of the Medical Examiner, submitting an amendment to a contract with Charles H. Brenner for maintenance on DNA View and paternity software for the period October 1st, 2016 through September 30th, 2019, to extend the time period to September 30th, 2022, to change the terms by adding commercial general liability insurance effective October 1st, 2019, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $13,200.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. So Dr. Brenner has a proprietary DNA software that helps us do, well, it doesn't help us. I don't do any of these calculations, but it helps the scientists.
It's good to know.
It is, trust me.
Good to know.
Helps the scientists in the DNA lab do their calculations when they are putting together the DNA patterns and the results. We've had this contract in place for a while. This is an extension for the next 3 years.
I have a question. If it's sole source with Dr. Brenner, what happens if something happens to Dr. Brenner? What do? There's no other software?
We would have to reevaluate the entire system and start from scratch, yeah.
Maybe something you want to keep in mind.
Well, yeah, we ask him about his health all the time.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Mr. McAleer?
OPD is okay with the sole source affidavit? They've received everything.
Lenora Lockett, Office of Procurement and Diversity. For this particular item, they proceeded as an amendment to the contract, so there was no recertification or the procurement was not a sole source, it was an amendment.
But the original procurement was sole source, correct?
I would have to check. I could check and see.
Yes, it was. There was an affidavit attached from the original.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-619, Office of the Medical Examiner, recommending a sole source award on requisition 46289 to Cybergenetics in the amount not to exceed $10,000 for the purchase of one access license for the True Allele Casework System server.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. So the True Allele system allows the DNA lab to work with compromised or multiple profile samples. Again, complicated mathematics that I have nothing to do with, but what we needed an additional license for staff. They were sharing the licenses, and it's the casework is getting a little overloaded for them to be doing that. And the majority of this will be covered with DNA grant, the backlog grant.
Any questions on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item is a two-part item, item BC 2019-620, Office of the Medical Examiner. A, submitting an RP exemption on requisition 46196, which will result in an award recommendation to ANSI, National Accreditation Board, in the amount not to exceed $6,900 for International Organization for Standardization International Electrotechnical Commission and Forensic Accreditation Requirements Training Courses for 12 staff. And it's for the period August 5th, 2019 through October 30th, 2019. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. I think this is a record, so 4 in a row. ANSI is the new accreditation board name for the forensic labs. When we do our reaccreditation, there is a series of trainings that take place for staff to get them up on any new standards that have been developed by the accrediting body. So that's what this is covering, and it gets us our accreditation payment for the coming year.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Nani. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved. Move on to the exemptions.
Yes, item number BC 2019-621, Office of Procurement and Diversity, recommending an alternative procurement process to establish rules and procedures for reverse auction procurements for the period September 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2020, in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 9.314.
Lenora Lockett, Office of Procurement and Diversity. The current schedule for the ERP project has the procurement phase 2 component being implemented in 2020. As a result, the Office of Procurement and Diversity will not have a full assessment of the capabilities of the Enforce system for reverse auctions until the design is completed and implemented in 2020. Thus, we're requesting approval of an alternate procurement beginning September 1st, 2019 and proceeding through December 31st of 2020.
Okay, thank you, Lenora. Question from Mr. Boyle.
Do we do any reverse auctions now at all?
Lenora Lockett, Office of Procurement and Diversity. There were reverse auctions done last year.
Okay.
There are none currently slated at this time. This is just to provide the opportunity if for departments to proceed within the reverse auction if there is a feasible or attractive good or services that we feel will benefit the county.
Any other questions on this item? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-622, Sheriff's Department, recommending an alternative procurement process which will result in award recommendations to various providers in the total amount not to exceed $40,000 for various purchases for food service operations in the jail kitchen. And it's for the period August 19th, 2019 through December 31st, 2021 for the following vendors: W.W. Granger, Inc., Josh and Paper and Packaging, Dean Supply Company, and Gordon Food Supply.
Good morning, Tanisha Giggs with the Sheriff's Department, requesting approval for an alternative procurement process for these small, time-sensitive purchases that historically have been made on office vouchers due to the changes in accounts payable department. The purchases usually add up to more than $1,000, so we would like to get ahead of this and have this in place so that when an event occurs, we'll have something in place to make these purchases. The RFP for full service vendor is in the works. The law department and a couple of our coworkers are in the process of getting that approved, and we're looking and hoping to have that in place early 2020. While that would and hopefully will be in place, with this being approved, in the event that we still need purchases, that will be there. If not, then we can have it decertified.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Nani. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
We're moving on to the consent agenda, item numbers BC 2019-623 through 627.
Okay, if everybody would take a moment to review the details of the consent agenda. Are there any questions from anyone about any of the items on the consent agenda? Mr. Boyle.
Just a comment. As I am sitting in Dale's seat today, and I've attended enough of the meetings, he usually inquires about the travel, and I note that there is no travel on today's. Perhaps we're moving in a less travel heavy cycle in 2019. Dale would ask. Just a comment.
Pass on your comments to the executive.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Nani. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved. So, Madam Clerk, is there any other business?
No other business at this time,
Is there any additional public comment?
and no additional public comment.
So therefore, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of adjournment indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.